Hi and welcome to Ali Lives Well on Less. I'm Ali, an early retired teacher, currently living well on a small pension. And in this little extra foodie video, I am going to share with you the fabulous Lidl £1.50 fruit and veg box that I got this morning when I popped into Lidl. I've spoken before about this. It's just luck. It's just timing, and it just depends on your local store and what they have left over. And today, when I went in, now my local store puts them out around 9ish. Sometimes it's before that, sometimes it's after, and sometimes they've got none. So about 9 a.m. you can usually find veg boxes in my local, the big Lidl in Stirling. And today there were 8 boxes. There were 8 boxes, and they were all full to the top, and they were all quite different. So I actually had a good choice of boxes, and some of them had things that I had already got from my big Tesco delivery. So I knew I didn't need a box that had bananas or carrots, because I was buying carrots there anyway. And I didn't want one with too much fruit, because I've got quite a lot of fruit in the freezer and in the store cupboard and so on. So I chose this box mainly because it had a lot of peppers, which I use a lot of peppers eating and cooking, and it had an aubergine. So I have a plan as to what I'm going to do with those. So I'm going to show you, first of all, what's in the box, and then I'll show you something that I make with the produce, and how I prep and freeze some of the produce, because it's in a veg box because it's getting near to its sort of best by, use by date. So obviously it's not at its peak freshness, so it's good to deal with it on the day that you get it. So that's what I'm planning to do for about the next hour or so, and hopefully I will have lots of nice fruit and veggies prepped and in my freezer. So I'm just going to turn the camera down and I will talk you through what was in the box. Now remember, all of this produce cost me £1.50. £1.50. So let's have a wee look. Okay, here we go. So first of all, I have some lettuce. Now, I'm not a huge lettuce eater, but I will make an effort to have a little sort of side salad with some of my meals in the next couple of days. So 2 romaine hearts, and they're in good condition, so they'll last a wee while in my fridge. This was the aubergine that I really wanted. I love aubergine and I don't buy them very often, so that is going to go into a veggie sauce for pasta, and some of the other things in there will go in with it. So I've got an aubergine or an eggplant, depending on where you are in the world. I have red pepper, an orange pepper, not 1 but 2 yellow pepper. So some of these will go into the vegetable sauce and the rest will be sliced and diced and put in the freezer. I also have a bag of these little snack peppers. They're aimed at kids, but they're quite small and sweet, and one of them is a bit goopy. It's starting to sort of be a bit yucky, but that's okay. I will just clean that up and chop off the bad bit. That's not a problem. 1 carrot, that's okay. That can be for Luna later on. I have some parsnips, so they will be, in fact, I think I'll roast them and then freeze them. I think that's what I'll do with those. I have some shallots. Oh, I love shallots. They're just a wee bit more expensive than onions, but yes, they are going to be chopped and used in my vegetable sauce. And I have 2 bags of potatoes. Now they're the little new potatoes. Well, newish, because it's not the season for potatoes. These have obviously been in storage, but Scottish potatoes, so that's okay. So I've got baby potatoes, I will simply cook them and maybe roast them. I'll see how I get on with those. And the second bag of potatoes are miniature potatoes. Now that's just a fancy way of saying we're going to sell you all the little itty bitty tiddly ones. They wouldn't go into our normal bag, but these again will be good. I think I'll just simply boil these and maybe roast them. So I think we'll maybe have some roasting getting done today. So I'll probably roast some of the vegetables. In fact, that's what I will do. I'm thinking as I'm talking here. I'll roast some of the peppers, onions or shallots, aubergines for the sauce. And I'll boil and roast these potatoes and roast my parsnips so the oven will be nice and full. Excellent, and that's what I'll do. I have a single tomato. It'll be roasted as well. I have a single satsuma and an apple. They'll just get eaten. I'll just pop them in my fruit bowl with my bananas. Okay, and I've got some golden kiwis. They are a little soft, so I'm not sure what I'll do with these. I might just eat them or I might use them in some conserve or something. I'll show you that shortly. So there we go. That is quite a good box. So the first thing I'm going to do is get these potatoes on to parboil, and then I'll prep the other veg to be roasted in the oven. Okay, all I've done here is I have chopped up the orange pepper, half the red pepper, half the yellow pepper, some of the shallots. If they're small, I've left them whole. If they're larger, I've halved them. There's the aubergine, the tomato, and a couple of bits of garlic from the last veg box that I had. All I've done is I've put a little oil on the bottom, drizzled a little oil over the top and sprinkled it with some mixed herbs. And I'm just going to get my hands in and give it all a little massage, and then it's going to go into the oven to roast. I'm also going to put my big dish in with the oil in it to heat up so that I can have the oil nice and hot, ready to add the cooked potatoes and what else? The parsnips. To go in there for roast potatoes and roast parsnips. Okay, parsnips are ready. They've just been chopped into chunks and I have sprinkled them with mixed herbs, garlic granules, a little oil and some honey to help with the caramelisation and catching the edge, and they're going to go into the oven now. Okay, so the baby potatoes have been parboiled for about 15 minutes. All I did was drain them and then I checked them all over and took off any little sprouts or bash bits, black bits, and I cut every single one in half so that they've still got the skin on the outside, which gives you all the goodness, but you've got a nice rough area that can take up the oil. I tasted one and they're a little under seasoned, so all I'm going to do is just sprinkle a good pinch of salt on top, and this is already hot with the hot oil, so it's going to go back into the oven. I've got my oven on about 200, so it's pretty hot, and it is a fan oven, so I think that's about 400 Fahrenheit ish. So yeah, 200 Celsius fan oven. Yeah, so hopefully they'll get nice and hot and crispy. Okay, that's what I love, a nice full oven filled with vegetables. I will check them at every sort of 15-20 minutes, give them a bit of a sugar and a shake and see how long they take. So after 45 minutes in the oven, I now have a big dish of roast potatoes. I have roasted Mediterranean style veg. All I'm going to do is add a splash of balsamic vinegar to this, and there's at least 2 good portions in there. I would just happily eat that whole dish with a spoon, but I will have some with pasta. later on today, and the other half will either go in the fridge or the freezer. It's actually better on the second day, so I might just wait until tomorrow to have some of that. I did cover it after 20 minutes because it was starting to catch around the edge, but I didn't want it to be too charred. So it did have some foil on the top for the last 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, these roast parsnips are delicious. Again, I popped a little bit of foil on top of them as well. But everything was in the oven for 45 minutes. And I did turn the oven down a little bit to 180 after the 20 minutes. So that's what came out of the oven. In here, I have some kiwi compote, and I'll talk about that at the end. I boiled the miniature potatoes. I made a carrot, apple and shallot salad. It's a little bit coleslawish without the cabbage. It's actually really delicious. The apple was quite bashed, so I had to cut quite a lot of it away, and because I couldn't eat it as it was, I decided I would make this little salad. So it's just carrot, apple, grated, finely chopped up, half a shallot, and I've just stirred in about a good tablespoon of mayonnaise and a good splash of apple cider vinegar. I sometimes have this with walnuts through it. It's absolutely delicious, but unfortunately I don't have walnuts at the moment, so it'll just be a little side salad as it is. So I've chopped up the little peppers and the other half of the shallot that went into the salad. That is just in a freezer bag, and it'll go in the freezer shortly. And the remaining half pepper, the yellow and the half red pepper, I've just chopped into squares, and it's also in a separate freezer bag, and it will just go in the freezer shortly. The little boiled potatoes, I'll either just have them as they are, or I'll chop them up and fry them. I'll maybe make a little chopped up salad. But they're just for eating and using up, so they will be used soon. The roast potatoes, they can be frozen and reheated, just as you would normally do your potatoes in the oven. So after a couple of hours work with chopping, prepping, cooking, I now have all these lovely vegetables prepped and ready for the fridge or the freezer. I reckon I've got at least 12 portions of the cooked vegetables. That is the potatoes, the parsnips, the Mediterranean veg. So 12 portions of veggies, not bad for your £1.50. I also have the peppers and the shallots prepped in the freezer. They're now in the freezer. And all I'll do with them is I will pull out like literally a handful, and they'll go in a stir fry or with fajitas or wherever you just need some veg. They're actually quite nice mixed with green beans and sometimes grated carrot. So there you go. There's 4 different types of veg that you can pop into one meal. So the other thing I said I was going to talk about at the end was my fruit compote. And I've mentioned and showed this before, but it was green kiwis I had. I got a great big punnet of kiwis. So this is my yellow golden kiwi compote. And a compote is different from a jam or a conserve. Jam is usually made 50-50 fruit and sugar. And basically you boil the heck out of it until you get it nice and thick, and then it is shelf stable if you do all your sterilising in the jars, and jam can last for years. Conserve is similar to jam, except you don't boil it as long and you keep the fruit pieces larger. So jams, the fruit tends to disintegrate because you're boiling it for so long to get to that setting point. Conserve isn't quite as harsh, and you do get the large pieces, and conserve tends not to last as long as jam unless you do other things to it. But basically as a home cook, that's the difference. Compote is just large pieces of fruit gently cooked in a sort of sugar syrup. So my compote was just the 3 kiwis chopped up. I used the juice of the satsuma that was there and 2 little spoons of sugar, and I just gently simmered them for about 5 minutes until the syrupy bit got a little bit thick, and that's it. So no sterilising jars or anything, it's just going in a tub. Once it's cool, it'll go in the fridge, and that will be lovely on yoghurt or in porridge or just on its own, frankly. And compote is a little bit healthier because obviously you're not using as much sugar. I do love making compotes because there's no faffing around with sterilisation and doing all the proper preserving. I will do that properly at the end of the summer with fruit, but when you've just got a couple of pieces of fruit, if you're just doing a small batch of something, compotes are so easy and so quick to do, and they freeze as well. So I hope you've enjoyed my demonstration, if you like, of what you can do with a £1.50 fruit and veg box from Lidl. I know other supermarkets and other places do fruit and veg boxes as well, but for me the Lidl one is easy for me to get access to, and I love the challenge. I love to see what I can do with it. So I've still got 2 shallots. They don't need any prep. They will just go into the cupboard and they'll just get used up in cooking as we go along. Because I did a big Tesco shop, I've done a Lidl shop, and I've got the veg box, I have a lot of food in my fridge. So once I've cooled down and once I've actually had some lunch, although it's now 10 to 2, so I'm running late for my lunch. So once I've done that, I'm going to assess all the food that I have in my fridge, and I'm going to sort it out. I'm going to freeze like the cooked chicken, the baked potatoes that I did yesterday, and so on, because I'm absolutely going to make sure that I do not waste a single scrap of food. It's too expensive. I need to make sure that I eat the 2 lettuce hearts that I got. As I said, I'm not that keen on lettuce, to be fair, but I will make an effort to have a little side salad along with my meal. So, oh my goodness, this kitchen is hot because the oven has been on at a high temperature. So excuse the hot, sweaty look. So I hope that was of use and of interest to you, and I hope you've enjoyed this little extra foodie video. So I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.